about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So Saturday morning, I woke up and learned, I think it was Saturday morning, that somebody detonated a bomb at Harvard Medical School. Now, usually medical schools aren't the source of a lot of hatred, if you notice. You don't really see a lot of bad things happen to medical schools. You can have disgruntled students, and we're trying to figure out who. They say this was, I think the police are saying it was intentional. But you just normally medical students are just so relieved they got into medical school that they're not going to do anything that could jeopardize them continuing to be in medical school. But Boston Fire Department said Saturday morning blast happened in Goldenson Building hallway, and it appeared intentional. And you saw two people in masks fleeing the area. Now, today, the police declared it was safe for students and faculty to return to campus. I don't know if Harvard Medical School students are still doing remote. I'm hearing a lot of medical schools, their students are still remote after COVID, which really worries me because I think we learned better hands-on. But luckily, the police said that the campus is open for those individuals who do go to class. But the explosion happened after 2:40 a.m. Saturday in the Goldenson building. Two masked suspects, according to Fox News, were seen fleeing from the building after the blast went off in a small section of the fourth floor hallway. The section where the explosion happened has been cleared, is fully operational, and they say that the building did not sustain any structural damage. The labs and equipment have remained intact. Now, Harvard University Police Department confirmed there was no continued public safety threat, and it was safe to return to campus. So you would think, well, maybe it was an accident. Somebody had something in their purse. No, it's hard to tell if these, I think they're men. One looks like a woman, but they're wearing ski masks. This is what really bothers me and has bothered me about the whole COVID pandemic, is if somebody walked in wearing a mask like that to a bank, to a school, you'd be like, okay, they're up to no good. And then be stopped. Now it's, well, COVID. Really? A ski mask is not an N95 respirator. I mean, come on, people. But unfortunately, we still let this stuff happen. And you know, Saturday morning, trust me, if you're a medical student, you're studying. Yeah, I was always on campus on weekends, assuming I wasn't hungover before. But they say the police department released surveillance photos of two suspects wearing masks and head coverings fleeing the building. No one was injured, thank God. So, but when you look at something like this, they did do a sweep, make sure there were no additional devices, so that's good. But a medical school being a target, what exactly is going on here these days? I mean, we're seeing churches as targets. What's going on here? And I'm really concerned because people are very easily able to just come onto properties causing mayhem. Now, what's weird about this, and I know a lot of people had questions and I just couldn't answer them at the time, and we still can't answer them. I mean, a Saturday is not a busy day on a Harvard Medical School campus unless there was an event, but I don't think so. And this was 2:45 a.m. So were they planting the device so that they could detonate it during a weekday? I mean, I'm sure we're going to get more information later, which we, desperately need. But anytime I seem to think that there's a place that would be immune to terrorism, immune to mayhem, immune to somebody wanting to hurt others. Something like this happens. And then I'd like to think I know what criminals think, having had so many patients who were, but I think even the police get surprised and learn something new every day. So this is something that I'm kind of fascinated by. Do I think it was previous students? Do I think it was students who didn't get accepted? There was that one student years ago who threatened, I think she was struggling with her classes. They threatened to fail her, and she threatened to murder other classmates. I got to look up what the motive was. And so, do crazy people end up getting through into medical school? Yeah, they do. Everywhere. You have people that might get through the system and get through an interview, or the interviewing faculty might be lazy. I mean, I really tried to get a good sense of who I was interviewing, but I ended up liking everybody. Saying, oh, God, you would be amazing here. You'd be amazing here. You don't think that you need to sit and look for future terrorists or future people that might, want to kill other students. And the one thing I've learned in terms of human behavior is you could push anybody to the brink, no matter how wonderful and good they are. And people say, no, nobody would kill. You're starving and you have, to protect your family, and you think somebody is going to hurt your family. I think that the potential is there for anybody if they are pushed. Now, somebody with poor mental illness can be pushed a lot easier than somebody with good mental health that understands I'm not going to hurt anybody. I don't even want to hurt anybody in a survival situation. But you're going to touch my baby? Oh, Mama Bear is coming out. And I will fight you to the death. So we all technically, because we're animals, do have that potential. That doesn't explain why somebody on a Saturday night would want to, put explosives. But, thinking that, well, it's not a medical student, still could be. Why the medical school? 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. All right. By the way, thank you guys for watching our videos. We do Facebook Live, and I'm trying to figure out how to get those Facebook Live also onto Twitter and Instagram and all that. And I can do them on YouTube. I don't put makeup on a lot. And I don't want people to see me. So please be forgiving when you see me. And I'm going to get something right now up on Facebook Live for you guys. I want y'all to listen to this next segment. Let me see how I want to call this. We had a horrible, horrible tragedy that happened after a Nepal avalanche. And I want, I've always wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, hike as far up as I could on Mount McKinley. It's just something I feel like I want to do. I want to feel like I have accomplished something. And I told you guys we have, Mount Charleston nearby. Only about 11,900 feet, but it's a good hike. And, seeing people come down off that mountain who were pretty athletic, struggling. We had extra Gatorades for people, and then we ended up running out for our kids who needed them, who kind of were going up there to help save because they had altitude sickness and ankle issues and knee issues that I didn't know they had, but I anticipated. And I noticed that a lot of individuals look at what some people do and they go, I can do that. And just like you see somebody online and they look, beautifully blonde, beautiful makeup. They're wearing a bikini and you're like, I could do that. And you do. And it's like, no, you can't wear the bikini. You need to drop a few pounds. Don't do that. And I'll sometimes even fall into that. So there was a Star Wars outfit, Rey, and I'm looking at that going, I look good. And I get it on and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I go, I look good. Okay, well then at a different angle, no, I didn't look good. And I'm noticing people are doing this as it pertains to extreme sports, where you're seeing your friend climb a mountain. And you're like, but I could do that too. Now, really quickly, let me tell you about this tragedy. This is really, really... A French climber is among 3 killed in a Nepal avalanche. At least 3 climbers, including a French national, have died. This is being reported by BBC News. They were hit by an avalanche on the Himalayan peak in northeastern Nepal. The incident happened near the base camp of Yalyangri Mountain in the Daliah district. I hope I pronounced that right. Those killed were part of a group of 12 trekkers and local guides that set out over an hour before the avalanche hit. They included 2 Italians, a German, and a Canadian. 5 Nepali guides who returned to base camp were injured, but not critically. Rescue efforts are still continuing. The local deputy superintendent of police, Gyan Kumar Mahato, said a rescue helicopter had landed on Monday in the Nalgaon area of Nolaka, a 5-hour walk from the Yalungri base camp. Efforts are still trying to locate those missing, but there's been poor weather, logistical issues, and they say attempts to rescue 2 Italian climbers who went missing while attempting to scale the Panbari mountain still continuing. But Stefano Farinado and Alessandro Caputo were part of a 3-man group that became stranded along with 3 local guides last week. A 3rd member of a group has been rescued, Velter Perlino, 65 years old. Now, look, God bless for you guys in your 50s and 60s, whatever, that want to stay active and do these things. In fact, somebody asked, why do we see a lot of older people do these? Bill, because you need to be an experienced hiker. There's not a lot of 20-year-olds that have hiked enough mountains to then go and take on some of these big summits. And so obviously these people who have been training for years and decades, I'm fully fine with somebody in their 60s, 70s, whatever, trying to scale a mountain. But what I'm not fine with are seeing what amateurs are doing. And I see this all the time. and you have to know your limitations. And, when you're doing sports, it's interesting because we want to push ourselves. Anytime I have done something and I've tried to talk myself out of it and I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. Or my husband talks to me or my kids do. I'm like, I did that. Getting out of your comfort zone is not easy. And so we kind of train ourselves, to get out of your comfort zone. When you see some of these receivers jump how many feet to catch the ball, and you're like, well, thank God they thought they could do that because otherwise it would have, been overthrown. You do need to sometimes take that leap, but you also have to understand what your limitations are. And what nobody's talking about is this copycat attitude that people have online, also with spending. So you'll see a friend go to Greece, and you're like, well, I have as much money as them. I want to go to Greece. Well, okay, do you? Did they use points? Did they fly coach? Did somebody help pay their way? This copycat mentality is getting a lot of people into trouble, especially money-wise. Well, they got their boobs done, so I want to get my boobs done. Well, they flew first class, so I want to fly first class. I have to take No, you don't have to take pictures. One of the most relieving things, yes, I'm using the word relieve, quit giggling, is when you say, I'm not going to take pictures. Okay, I don't care if people see or know, whatever. Now, a lot of us use this to communicate with our family, to communicate with other people. I'm healthy. I'm fine. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm enjoying life. I think it's very therapeutic for those that get dumped, where it's like, you know what? I'm not sitting and crying in a room that you dumped me. I'm out there enjoying life. Also, I like to post to teach people. Look, we got these owls. They want to eat our cats and dogs. Be aware. We got these tarantulas. I know they look cute, but don't touch them because their hairs could hurt you. So I like to post as a learning. I also like people to see, like, oh gosh, I'd really, really love to see what it's like going up the Eiffel Tower. Like, I posted a video. It was pretty amazing, but also tons of people. And I didn't really want to post the hundreds of people waiting for a lift, but I also want to kind of explain, so people understand. You try to do the Eiffel Tower without paying extra for, a little bit of a push to the front of the line, which a tour guide can help you do. You're going to be there all day trying to get up and then down off the Eiffel Tower. So I do like to do it from a learning perspective. But on the days and weekends I don't post. Oh my gosh, it is just. Let me do my own thing. Do my own thing. I don't need to necessarily tell people what I'm doing. It's my life. But you have other people that have just really taken on this sort of behavior or religion of, I need everybody to know what I'm doing. I need everybody to see what I'm doing. I need everybody to see I'm happy. By the way, those people that always post how happy they are, they're not happy. I sometimes worry that I post too much grumpy stuff. Because I don't want people to think I'm sad, but I don't want to lie. If I'm constipated, I'm constipated. If I'm not feeling well, if I'm bummed about the Cowboys, although they hopefully should win today. I know Kyler Murray's out. Hope he's okay. But Cowboy, I'm going to be honest. I want honesty out there. But that is a red flag when you see somebody always posting how happy they are. Or there's something not so happy. But this copycat athleticism and hiking. What we hear of people falling down mountains, trying to get a selfie or trying to get a picture. Why are you falling off the trail? You're supposed to be on the trail to hike. There are areas that they allow for pictures. Even when you're driving, there's areas where you could park these lookouts to take pictures because they don't want while you're driving you taking pictures. They don't want while you're hiking a narrow path you to stop and take a picture. There are areas where you can do your lookout. In fact, I was at, I forgot what it's called. We went to see the, I apologize. It's Lake Powell, but it's the horseshoe area with the rock. And I was getting some good pictures, and I saw somebody sit out on a ledge, a rock that ledged out. And my first thought was, oh, damn, that could be a cool picture. Okay, now we're all photographers, right? Now that we all have smartphones, I go, what an angle. But then I'm looking and I'm like, with my weight, Would I break that mountain? I mean, that was kind of a skinny girl up there. And her boyfriend is like, God, please don't. I hope that rock doesn't give. And he's like, will you please get down? And I'm like, look, if you need help, I'll help you. And, she got off the mountain ledge, but you don't think about that. You see somebody sitting on a ledge of a piece of rock that jets out, and they're 95 or 105 pounds. And you're like, oh, I could do that too. I can't. Quit the copycat stuff. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Back on Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I learned that ChatGTP is going to stop giving health advice. Thank the Lord. Hallelujah. But before we get too excited, they are still going to answer educational questions, but they are going to make sure they preface it saying you need to talk to a doctor, which, by the way, is really easy to program and put in the algorithm. So we're being told, let me give credit where credit is due. This is Geek Spin. ChatGTP will no longer give health or legal advice. The chatbot is going to stay silent on certain topics. OpenAI has now introduced new restrictions. OpenAI owns ChatGTP, and they want to curb risky advice. Thank you for that. As of October 29th, ChatGTP's role has undergone a major transformation, no longer offering financial advice also, or legal or medical. According to Nexta, the chatbot is now classified as an educational tool rather than a consultant. Why? Well, because they don't want lawsuits. I mean, it is just, if I was a lawyer, I would be salivating at what could come from that. And as a doctor, I'm scared to death of what people are getting online. And it blows my mind that humans are going to ChatGTP. Somebody called in saying, oh, yeah, I have heartburn. This heartburn is so bad. And I go, okay, well, how do we know it's heartburn? Oh, they go, well, ChatGTP. It just looked at my symptoms, and it was classic. It was textbook. What textbook? A cardiology textbook? A gastroenterology textbook? What's textbook? ChatGTP is not textbook. Well, I told them that I have had chest pain. I had eaten pizza last night, and I have had chest pain ever since. And I just don't feel good. So it's from the pizza. Could be. But it looks like you have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you smoke. How do I know this isn't a heart attack? Where you start to have a cardiac event. You got to get your heart checked. It could be heartburn. Could be acid reflux, could be esophagitis, could be an ulcer. Well, but it could be something going on with the lungs. But who told you this was heartburn? ChatGTP? Is ChatGTP a physician? And so there has to be ramifications if somebody is getting the wrong advice. And so, the risks of relying on this stuff, it's just the fact that humans will go to that. Because people always ask me, they go, how is telemedicine, helping people with their medical issues? Well, I'm a big fan of telemedicine in terms of getting people access. I can't tell you how many of my patients in Alabama or Mississippi are 2 hours from a medical center. And so they can at least talk to a doctor. We could tell them, look, call an ambulance, do this, do this. So I love the fact that telemedicine allows that. But in terms of, people going to telemedicine to diagnose, I had another patient call up saying that they had a basilar skull fracture with a CSF fluid leak. That happened years ago when somebody was skiing in Colorado, hit his head on a tree. Now I had another person over the last few days call because he started to have a drippy serum come out of his nose. So he thinks it was a CSF fluid leak. Go to the ER. You got to go to the ER. Why are you going to telemedicine? And patients, we had a mom call up. The child looked like he had a hole in their skin going to the scalp. It was a really bad cut. And the parents wanted to know what the risks were if they just didn't do anything about it. And but you have to do something about it. It could get infected. The scalp is like a superhighway for infection. And so somehow after COVID, the idea of you not needing to go in and see a doctor replaced what, and using computers and using online replaced what has always been century-old medicine. We need to touch by healing. Osteopathic medicine. I'm an MD, but doctors of osteopathy, they learn to touch the patients. MDs do too. We were learned to touch patients also. But in osteopathy, you help heal them by touch. How are we doing that through a computer? And so people have gone, well, wait a second. My insurance company is telling me I need to go to telemedicine first. I had a patient who I thought was having a perforated bowel. And I go, you need to go to the ER. They go, well, I don't know where to go. I go, contact your insurance to do which ER. I could call you an ambulance. They're like, the insurance company told me to call you. Why did your insurance company tell you to call a doctor on the telephone when you have a perforated ulcer and stool contents are leaking? You got to go to the ER. And so because it's saving insurance companies money, people are going, well, if the insurance company says I have to do that, well, this is where I get my medicine. Patients will call up asking for refills. I'm like, well, when was the last time you saw a doctor? Well, not for a while. Well, you need to, in order to get refills, at least have seen a doctor within the last year, have had an in-person. So now what a lot of insurance companies are doing is to make this work is you see a doctor for your quote-unquote wellness visit, and that counts as you having seen a doctor in person. Thank God they're recommending somebody see you in person. But then patients are going, that's it. I only see them once. And I go, well, who's checking up on your lungs and your blood pressure and listening to your heart? And a once-a-year physical might work for somebody young and healthy, but if you're not. So we somehow, since COVID, have decided that going to a computer or just solely getting medical care over a telephone is gold standard. And it's not. It's an adjunct. Telemedicine is an amazing tool. It is a huge, amazing tool, but it's a tool. And when I tell patients you need to go in and get seen, they're like, what? Well, just give me something. I go, you got an ingrown toenail. Somebody has to actively remove that toenail. You got a gallbladder that's not functioning well. You have abnormal bleeding from your uterus. This could be cancer. You have a rectal bleed. You're bleeding actively from your rectum. This could be something serious. You need to go in. And instead, the shift is not going to the doctor to say it's to save money. And let me just, make a doctor online do something to make this work. And ChatGPT is now getting sued. And we're seeing telemedicine doctors get sued for missing things. So, that's a concern. Now, another thing that also is a huge concern is this character AI. Character AI is being sued after I had heard that there was a child, a young girl, was being approached sexually by this chatbot, and it was very sexual in nature. These are kids. And apparently character AI, if you want to talk dirty to somebody or have somebody talk dirty to you, there's these AIs that do that. So if you're missing that companionship, remember you used to have to call a 1-900 number and somebody would then be able to talk to you? Now people can go online and get something fake computered to talk. By the way, these conversations, aren't they like kept? Isn't there a digital evidence of this? Do you really want that online? But people are doing that. Parents have testified in front of Congress that their children were harmed by sustained interactions with these virtual personalities on the app, according to Rolling Stone. The company said in its blog that as of November 25th, minors are no longer able to carry on conversations with their AI-powered characters. They say between now and then, we will be working to build an under-18 experience that still gives our teen users ways to be creative by creating video stories and streams with characters. Yeah, but what people are doing is using them for sex, using them for companionship. No kids at all should be on these chatbots. I'm sorry. If they don't understand that they're talking to something, they need to go and talk to real people. Okay, now, there's a market for this. Parents don't want their kids getting pregnant. Parents don't want their kids getting STDs. So parents are sometimes allowing this type of stuff. I'm telling you right now, it's dangerous. Do not allow your kid to have a sexual or any relationship with a chatbot. It's too unpredictable. It's too scary. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So ABC News has warned that a large healthcare system in Maine sent out letters to patients providing condolences that they died. Now, I don't know how they thought the patients would open the letters, why they would send living patients letters saying they're dead. But Maine Health, a nonprofit system that includes hospitals, healthcare facilities, and clinics in Maine and New Hampshire, sent letters to 531 patients expressing condolences that included information on how next of kin could resolve their estates. Now, a spokesperson for the health system told ABC News that an error in its computer system generated these estate vendor letters. Why? The spokesperson said that the patients were never listed as deceased in their medical records, but the problem has been resolved and apology letters were sent to all patients affected by the error. Spokesperson said Maine Health sincerely regrets this error and has sent apology letters to all patients who have been affected. At no time were these patients listed as deceased in their medical records, and the issue was fully resolved. But this isn't the first time a major health system has mistakenly informed patients that they died. In January 2021, St. Alphonsus, an Idaho health system, suffered a cyber attack. Patients received letters saying they were dead and that personal information may have been stolen. Now, St. Alphonsus said a mail merge issue generated the incorrect letters and apologized for the confusion and frustration. Going back to, though, this Maine Health, they said it was an error in its computer system for generating estate vendor letters, leading to the mistake. Now, I guess Maine Health is a nonprofit system that includes hospitals and healthcare facilities. I guess they have their hands into estate planning as well. But a mistake like this to me means there's a lot more to the story. And what the heck is going on here? That's a pretty big error. Now, hopefully they corrected it. And what's good about, the silver lining to these things is when something weird like this happens, hopefully they are, checking all their systems, making sure it wasn't cyber attacked, crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's. But first, if you have hospital records and patient sensitive information and you are not using human minds anymore and everything is now electronic, okay, this worries me a little bit. Remember I told you when United Healthcare got hacked, some medical students called me up asking how to write a sliding scale insulin. And I'm like, you don't have that memorized? You've been writing it ever since you got out of school, haven't you? No, we hit a button on a computer. Really? You aren't writing down? No, they're not writing things down. They're not typing them in. Computers have made it so easy that you just hit a button for sliding scale insulin. Sliding scale insulin is depending on where your sugar is. It tells you how many units to give. And so if we are that dependent on a checking of the box, and then you see something like this, it really kind of makes you nervous about what boxes are getting checked. It's one thing for a computer system to not do something you told it to, which is bad. But to do something completely foreign like this, sending out letters to people that they died, and look at the inherent illogic to that. Why are you sending letters? I mean, it might be addressed to the family of, but if you're addressing it to people saying, well, you're dead, and so this is what your family could do about your estate. And then is that because of people's bills? There's a lot of concern going on as to who pays the bills for people who die. When somebody dies in the hospital, who pays their hospital bill? Hospitals usually eat it. But there's a growing pressure on the family to pay the bill. We took care of your family member, pay up. And we're seeing a lot of families start to now avoid other family members because they don't want to get hit with the bill. I think they're called scarecrow laws. The system is kind of a mess. Now, usually Medicare takes over, so most of these hospitals will get paid by Medicare, and there shouldn't be a lot of balance billing, although with the way Medicare is, you have Part A, Part B, you need Part D or Part C to cover for the drugs, and it just should be one Medicare. But something like this really kind of makes me scratch my head to make sure that we're not just over dependent and over reliant on tech, especially as it pertains to our health, because this does not boost my confidence in these systems. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, Docdali. So I think Zoran Mamdani, one of the things he wants to do is get rid of gifted programs, the gifted programs. Now, the gifted program, and I don't know if many schools still have it, is when you have a child that is exceptional and is sitting there in class bored because the material's too easy for them. In the old days, and my uncle, back in the 50s, when he was a kid, he got to skip 2 grades. What they used to do is not necessarily have a whole entire class for these kids who were gifted. They would be like, you know what? You might as well go to the next class and then be able to learn. Now, sometimes that's not easy because they're shorter, and they're younger, and kids are mean. But I don't really disagree with, if you are a year ahead, and apparently my uncle was 2 years ahead. So I think he skipped 3rd grade and 5th grade. And then he ends up dying of leukemia when he was 13. And he was brilliant. He was a concert pianist, I think, by the age of 10. I mean, this kid was just amazing. So what you would do in the 50s is if you already know this and you're just sitting there taking a nap in class, you might as well, learn more. You're going to be one of, you're going to be the next Albert Einstein. So let's get you, to where you need to be. Well, then I think it was the 60s and 70s and 80s. You would have these classes called gifted. And I would be in gifted. And I couldn't stand that. I did not want to leave class because I liked my friends, and gifted was boring. I didn't like being in gifted. I'm like, let me do, because you wouldn't do calculus. I wasn't able to go on. You would be doing other activities. It was almost like they were trying to keep you entertained, and they had you do story problems and all that. I go, I don't want to do that. Let me go back to class. So I didn't really like gifted. But apparently there's been this push, I think, by Mamdani to change that because of how it, I guess, affects other kids, that somebody gets to leave and go. What I really think needs to happen is when you have kids that are excelling or you have kids that need remediation, it not be very public, okay? Where every kid has an aptitude and then they have follow-up on that aptitude. And by the way, this should also be for physical fitness. So if you have somebody who can't run a mile in under 7 minutes as a teen, which should be, for a girl and for a guy under 6 minutes or whatever. That's why I'm glad Trump is bringing back the presidential fitness test. Then they have remediation and they have a coach working with them on running or sit-ups or push-ups or whatever they are struggling doing. And they don't have to necessarily hit the mark, but at least improve their health and improve their stamina and improve their physical activity. So if we have more precise learning and precise remediation, and that could be computerized, allow a child who is acing algebra to then go on to geometry and trig. Allow somebody who's acing Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 to go on to Spanish 3 or 4. So I'm mixed on that, but we'll talk about it again soon. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.